Grab your split kits and your CCF forms. It is time to do a DOT urine specimen collection. I am going to take you through the 49 CFR Part 40 procedures step by step. So, new collectors, this is the perfect video for you to watch so that you can learn how to correctly do the collection procedure and pass your mocks with flying colors. Let's get started. Before you start your collection, you will need to gather your supplies and place them on your medical tray table on wheels. Every collector should have a medical tray table on wheels because it makes the collection process go much smoother. You can get one of these tray tables from my Amazon storefront, which is linked in the description below. A split kit is a type of specimen cup and tubes that are used for DOT collections. You want to make sure that you are using a specimen cup that contains 2 specimen tubes so that you are able to split the 45 milliliters of urine. These bluing tablets are designed to change the clear water in the toilet to dark blue. This will stop the donor from attempting to dilute their specimen with clear water from the toilet. This is tamper-evident tape. Tamper-evident tape should be used in the bathroom to secure anything that the donor may attempt to use to adulterate their specimen. If you are unable to completely shut off the water to the sink, you will use a sheet of plastic or a plastic bag and secure it over the sink with your tamper tape. Tamper tape will leave behind residue or words on the surface it was applied to if the donor attempts to lift the tape. That's why it's important to use tamper-evident tape and not blue painter's tape when securing the bathroom for your collection. You will also need latex-free gloves. You should not handle any bodily fluids without your gloves. Make sure you have a black ballpoint pen. And of course, the star of the show, your Federal Custody and Control Form, also known as the CCF. This Federal Custody and Control Form will be used to document the entire specimen collection. Okay, let's get into the pages of the Custody and Control Form. The Custody and Control Form contains 5 pages. Page number 1 is the test facility copy. This copy goes into the back opening of your specimen bag and gets shipped off to the lab with your specimens. Page number 2 is the MRO or Medical Review Officer copy. You will need to fax this copy directly to the MRO within 24 hours of the collection. Now, page number 3 is your copy, the collector copy. You need to keep this on file for at least 30 days after the collection. I typically keep my collector copies in a file folder in a locked filing cabinet so that it can't be accessed by anyone who is unauthorized to access this information. Page number 4 is the employer copy. This is faxed directly to the designated employer representative that is appointed by the company that you're doing collections for. This should be done within 24 hours of the collection. And finally, we have page number 5, the donor copy. This should be handed directly to the donor at the conclusion of the collection. On the back, you can encourage the donor to write down any prescription information so that they have it ready to go if the MRO contacts them for any reason. In order to fill out the CCF form, you will go in the same steps, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4. Step 1 includes all of the area that you see highlighted on the screen. It should be filled out completely and correctly. Step 2 is here in this box. This is where you will be checking off information about the actual specimen. Step 3 includes affixing the labels to your bottles that you see here at the bottom of the screen. After completing step 3, you will flip the page to the MRO copy and the donor will complete step 5. Flip back to the test facility copy and you, the collector, fills out step number 4. Now let's break this down step by step. The first step is the information box. This is where you will find information about the employer, the MRO, your collection site, what type of test it is, and the reason for the testing. Some of this information is typically pre-populated on the CCF form. You, as the collector, need to verify and re-verify and verify again that that information is correct that is pre-populated on your form. Anything that is not pre-populated will need to be filled in by you. So let's start by filling out the employer's information on letter A. Whew, okay, that was a lot. Now, moving on to letter B. This is the medical review officer's information. So you're going to have the doctor's name and phone number, fax number, all of that information has to be filled in for the medical review officer. Now, this is just a practice form. That's why it says medical review officer pre-populated. But typically, if it's pre-populated information, it will say Dr. Lewis or Dr. whoever, their phone number, fax number, and their address. Moving on to letter C, this is where you're going to put in the donor social security number, employee ID number, or their CDL state and number. Now, you're going to use CDL state and number for any truck drivers that are under FMCSA regulations. So make sure that if you have a truck driver that comes in, you're asking for their CDL number as opposed to the social security number or an employee ID number. For letter D, you are going to specify the DOT agency. So this is a truck driver and he is under FMCSA regulations. All new collectors will need to study the DOT agencies and their abbreviations. So FMCSA, FAA, FRA, FTA, PHMSA, and USCG. FMCSA stands for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. FAA is the Federal Aviation Administration. FRA is the Federal Railroad Administration. FTA is the Federal Transit Authority. PHMSA is the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. And then you have USCG, your United States Coast Guard. Now, letter E, you're going to select the reason for the test. This could also be pre-populated on your form, or you may be able to find this information on the drug test order form from the employer. If it's not on there, then you will have to make the correct selection, so you should contact the DER if you're unsure of the reason for the test. But as a good collector, you should also study reasons for testing and know what each of them means. So, pre employment, random, reasonable suspicion, post accident, return to duty, follow up. You should know the definitions of all of those and study, study, study. On letter F, you're going to select the drug test to be performed. All DOT screens are 5 panels, so you should always check the box that has the 5 panels listed. As a good collector, you also need to study the abbreviations for the 5 panels that are included in the DOT drug test. So you have THC, COC, PCP, OPI, and AMP. Collectors, please study drugs and know the differences and know what they mean, know what they do, know how they affect the mind and the body. You need to become an expert on all things drugs. I would start with the DEA website and start studying. And finally, to wrap up step one, you are going to write in your collection site information. Please be aware that the collection site is where the drug test is taking place. So that is not always going to be your business address because sometimes you'll be on site as a mobile collector. And that is the address that you want to put down in letter G. And then, of course, you want to fill in your collector information, your phone number and fax number, and your email address. Now the donor will need to remove any outerwear, including hats, empty their pockets, and put any items in a secure locker. Now you will present a sealed cup to the donor, or the donor may pick out their own cup. Just make sure that the seal is intact on the specimen cup. You want to maintain the integrity of the collection process. Now break the seal on the cup and remove the seal. Once you have successfully removed the seal, you can open the cup and dump out the contents of the cup. Make sure that you dump the contents out on your tray table and don't reach into the cup to get the items because you could potentially compromise the specimen. You will have a specimen bag that you will place your specimens in at the conclusion of the collection, and also your two specimen tubes that